been a long week, but also an educational one in terms of keeping my own vibration high and realizing that it's important that when you're surrounding yourself with people on the bandstand or in life, it's actually important that everybody's on their own frequencies, and then they can come together and create one living, breathing organism of music or creation or poetry or riffing. And I get a chance today to speak to somebody who has been about as graceful as they come in terms of dealing with the music racket. He was a showman and a musician for quite some time, and then took time off the road and started a whole other career so he could be close to his son, raise his son and his family. And then cosmically, when his son got the job as the band director of Jimmy Kimmel Live, it was Jimmy's call to bring in his father, and there really has been a full squaring of the circle for the Escobedo family. Cleto Escobedo, welcome to the Jake Feinberg Show.
Thank you, Jake. I'm very honored that you wanted to interview me a little bit, and I hope I can do the show a little justice.
Oh, you're going to do great, man. No, I got to be honest with you, Cleto. Well, first of all, I just wanted to say it's really interesting because today is the birthday of Eddie Palmieri, and I was wondering, I was wondering if you were, not that you were in New York, but like the Fania label, the Fania All Stars, Tico, Ruben, were you into that Latin music coming out from the East Coast?
You know what? I got to be truthful. I really wasn't.
Sure.
But the names ring a bell, and we were in New York a couple of times, and I wish we would have gone and checked out all the cats out there, but we didn't have time. We were just there for a little bit,
You were there, but you never went to the Palladium. Were you influenced by? I'm even talking before you were in a band or anything. I mean, would you say that you were raised with sort of Mexican folk music, or was there an Afro Latin vibe to the music that was in your ears as a kid?
You know what, Jake? When I was coming up, all we I was raised with like you said, Mexican folk music, the Mexican polkas which came out of the German thing. The guys jumped on that,
right?
And they started, yeah. So I mostly that, and our family get-togethers were all about. Oh my God, we just my mom and dad would harmonize with Mexican songs, ballads, and
my gosh, this is great, man.
I mean, and I was all around there, and my uncle Felix, who was like my hero, may he rest in peace. He played guitar, and he would go to every event we had, whether it would be Christmas or whatever, and they would start singing. And not only my mom and dad, my aunt Concha would sing. My uncle Amos, my uncle Jesse, my uncle Manuel. I mean, they were all in the family, so we grew up with that. So, but then after that, I went to school and I got interested in the music thing. Then I loved rock and roll, and that's why I went on to rock and roll.
No, I dig. No, I really. This is like, I asked your son about this, but he's more. I mean, I'm 46, and we're basically from the same generation. But
right.
The significance of music in families and in our culture has just changed so much. And I remember, not that you were necessarily like, living in, rural or, communities that didn't have a lot of resources, but I just wonder about the idea of a musician being seen as a doctor. This was not uncommon hundreds of years ago, where you had medicine men who would come in Brazil and heal people through music. And, just because of the times that you were growing up in, there was not a lot of materialism. There was not a lot of accessibility to certain things. And I just wanted you to talk about an early childhood memory when you realized that there were only two letters that separated magic and music.
Wow. you know what? I'm gonna.
Go. You can go anywhere you want on that, man.
Oh, okay, okay. My mom and dad, I'll never forget. My mom and dad would go to a nightclub called Johnny's Paradise,
Oh boy.
which is no longer there. I'm talking about San Antonio, Texas.
Wow.
One night, my dad came in, and he was a little tipsy, which was good.
Yeah.
I'm looking at our bedroom, and he went and he woke me up, and he said, "Son," he said, "Mijo is son in Spanish, right?"
Yeah.
He said, "Mijo, you gotta go with Mom and I next Saturday to Johnny's Paradise. There's a saxophone player there that makes the saxophone cry." Exact words, I'll never forget.
Wow.
I said, "Sure, Pop." And remember, I was probably in like 7th grade. I was kind of like wanting to join the band at school, and I was interested, talking to a whole bunch of guys, stuff. So here comes next Saturday. I went, and Jake, I sat there, and my mom told me that I didn't move, just watching this saxophone player, and
Wow.
just play. He was playing his ass off, and remember, most of this was like mostly Mexican music, but yet they had a few things that were happening, kind of jazzy, like kind of.
Like what? You were talking. What year was this? Early 60s.
Did you say early 50s?
Early 60s.
Oh, 60s. Yeah, for sure.
I was gonna say, because that in that gumbo melting pot of San Antonio, I would think that there would be indigenous Mexican folk music. There would be a lot of burgeoning rock and roll, Bill Haley and the Comets, or
sure.
Louis Prima. But the jet,
oh my God.
I'm just curious about what was it? Well, first of all, were you bawling your eyes out? I probably would have been crying. I mean, he made the saxophone cry?
Oh my God. No, that's when I found out, Jake.
Yeah.
This is what I want to do. And to hear the response, every time he'd get up and take a solo, and to see the response, and I would look around, and not me as a wannabe musician, you know what I mean? I was playing, I just started playing, but to see the reaction on the audience, and then of course the applause, I said, you know what? That's what I want to be, man. I found that out right away. I said, I want to be that guy, So, yeah, man. And it's just
well, Cleto, I want to ask. This is really important. I know you were in 7th grade, but looking back on it in hindsight, was it just the idea of the adulation from the crowd being able to deliver something powerful in a nonverbal way, or were you more impressed? Did you get off more on the idea that when the guy would solo, that he actually was able to tell a story that had a beginning, a middle, and an end that then was received by the audience?
That's exactly it. And I was just starting out, like I told you, and how he would take a solo, I'm trying to figure out, well, how's this guy starts a solo, and then he goes through the, either playing through the bridge, which I didn't know nothing about.
Oh, of course, yeah.
But I'm thinking, how is he telling this story, and it's coming out perfectly? And then and then he tells the story, and then he goes back and sits down, and I'm thinking, he must feel really, really good. And to this day, Jake, not that all the solos that I take are good, but when I do take a solo and I feel good about it, I'm going like, wow, yeah, that felt good.
That felt great. That felt free.
Yeah, it felt.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No. It's really, really. Would you say that? And was there? Just the mere fact that as an underage cat, I don't know, maybe it was a restaurant, but there were opportunities all over the country for underage kids to go to nightclubs and to see music. And I'm not saying that's either good or bad. It's just that doesn't happen today, where you have children who are completely influenced and, like you, mesmerized. The opportunity to say that puts you on a path. It does break my heart a little bit that kids don't have that opportunity today to really go Yeah, there's some drinking going on, and there's it's a nightclub, but
Yeah.
I wonder about the idea of, like, after that, did you realize at a certain point that music was it was the only thing that you really knew how to do, and it was your purpose in life? I mean, I know I know you went in a different direction at a certain point, but when did you just decide, this is the thing I want to do with my life?
Okay, back in the late 50s, I started, messing with the horn. Of course, I with a band in school, and all that. And then I got a call from these guys they were called the Royal Bops, right?
Oh my God,
It
this
was a
is
band,
great.
and going back to what you said about Bill Haley and all that, that's the stuff that they were doing, and I'm going like, man, I love this stuff, and it was great because we were doing house parties. And not working nightclubs or nothing, just house parties, weddings, and all this kind of
Sure,
stuff. And I have to tell you about this one story. I hope
please.
I don't bore you.
No,
But
no, no, no,
we
please.
we were doing a we were doing a house party. Excuse me, because I've got this little throat. I think I told you yesterday. I don't know what it's, allergies or whatever. But anyway, we were doing a house party, and a fight broke out. I can see it now. It was in the living room. Fight breaks out. I grab my saxophone and I go outside. I was scared to death. But remember, I was the youngest one in the band. Green. I didn't know nothing about the business or whatever, but I wasn't expecting a fight to break out. So I went and hid behind a bush. I'll never forget. I can see it now.
I love
and
this.
then the fight was over and everything was cool. And then they're looking for Cleto. Well, guess where Cleto was at?
In the bush,
they
dude.
They found me behind the bush with my horn, man. And I'll never forget that. But as scared as I was, Jake, I enjoyed it. It was great. And again, and I'll never forget my first solo was, I don't know, you might be too young to remember For Your Love. For your love.
Oh yeah, sure.
Oh, I would do anything. Well, I took the solo to that, and I got a few, a little applause, and I went home going like, wow, this is so this is so cool. And if you don't mind, I'll go back to
Please.
The Royal Bops played at Arthur Murray Studio on Broadway Street, opposite a group called the Dell Kings, which I always told my pop. I said, Pop, if I ever join the Dell Kings, I'll be in seventh heaven.
Wow.
Well,
wow, you did.
So we played. After we got off the set, Frank Rodarte, the band leader from the Dell Kings, comes up to me, and the first thing he asked me, how did you get away with playing honky tonk on an alto sax? Because I had an alto sax,
Wow.
not a tenor.
Wow.
And
Wow.
till now, if you're going to play rock and roll, it's a tenor, right?
Sure.
That's automatic. I said, I don't know, man. He goes, man, you sounded great. He says, how would you like to be in our band? Our other saxophone player is going to join the Air Force, and we'd love to. I said, man, are you kidding? Sure, I would love to. And at first, I went to a payphone, Jake, called my pop up. I said, Pop, guess what? They just asked me to play with the Dell. He said, oh, that's great. So from then on, Jake, those guys, we just rehearsed our asses off, and we got gigs. We played all the bases in San Antonio, and our favorite bass was Fort Sam Houston, because we played. Okay, we came up playing nothing but B.B. King, Junior Parker. I mean, you did nothing but blues.
I did, yeah, I did, yeah. And what about like
no?
but what about like Hank Ballard and the Midnighters? Were you playing R&B?
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Hey man, I'm glad you said Hank Ballard, because when I hear the twist and everybody says, "Oh, Chubby Checker," I said,
No.
It wasn't Chubby Checker. It was Hank Ballard.
That's right.
And we used to do "There's a Thrill Upon the Hill." You know that one?
Oh, sure. Oh my God, yeah.
All those. So anyway, going back to Fort Sam Houston, it was called the Snake Pit, the lounge there. It was all soldiers, and it was just, I mean, we were in seventh heaven, just playing all the blues and everything. And from that group, we just kept rehearsing, and if I'm going ahead of you, let me know.
You're doing no, you're doing fantastic. I know that you know it's just interesting because like you weren't somebody who was going to be playing like bebop, like Cannonball or
Right? Oh
or
my goodness.
Bird, but Cannonball played the alto in a lot of
Yeah.
really funky settings too, like R&B
Yeah.
and
Hell
blues.
yeah. He
And
played. I still listen to him,
oh
man. He
my God,
plays his
every day. I
ass
mean,
off.
him and his brother, man. I just
Oh, his
want.
brother.
Are you
Oh.
like? Did you have a chance? Was there a touring circuit? Like with Gene Ammons or Sonny Stitt or any of these cats? Would they come through? Did you get a chance to see some of the masters of jazz growing up?
Yeah. You know what, man? Oh, you mentioned Sonny Stitt. I listen to him all the time. But anyway, we were in this was with Los Blues,
Oh my
with the
God,
Dell
dude, that
Kings
band,
and Los
man.
Blues.
Oh man.
We worked at the warehouse in Denver years ago.
Wow.
It was probably at like 70 something, and Grover Washington was going to follow us.
Oh my
And listen
God.
to this, man. He comes up to me, and in them days, Jake, you would go up and play somebody else's horn. You didn't care about no. I'm gonna get a disease or some shit.
I did, yeah,
So anyway,
right.
yeah. So anyway, Grover Washington comes up to me and he says, "Hey man, can I play your horn?" I said, "Are you kidding?" I said, "Hey, put as much soul on my horn."
That's right, man.
That's exactly what I said. And I said, "I hope you like it because it's a Busher horn that my dad bought for me for $60, Jake. And Jake, I still have it."
That is so. I mean, dude,
Oh my God! I mean,
Grover.
it would take me all week long to tell you stories that just yeah, man.
No.
I
This
still,
is only set one. I knew that. It's fun. It's just getting back to Grover. I mean, I'm good friends with Billy Cobb, and we did a bunch of interviews. And
oh my God! Wow.
yeah, no, you're really just getting hip to the Jake Feinberg show. You're gonna freak out when you see who I've interviewed. But it's like, those guys were at Fort Dix in New Jersey together, growing up playing music, and Grover, to me, is one of those guys, just absolutely transcendent player that played right alongside the blue, funk and blues.
Heck
But
yeah.
that's the one thing I wanted to ask you about is like, you're a little bit young for this, but I remember a great horn player, Don Menza, who great studio horn player and band leader. He was in L.A. But when he was in New York, when he was still young, he was at Birdland, and a cat came
Yeah.
up to him and was like, he was like, "Hey man, can I borrow your horn?" And Don was like, "Yeah, sure." And so he's taking his mouthpiece out, and the guy said, "No,
Yeah,
no,
sure,
no."
there you go.
He said, "No, no, leave it in. I don't have a mouthpiece." And it turned out
Wow.
it was Hank Mobley, you know.
Oh shit.
So
Oh
I
my
wanted to
God.
know, even though you were super young, you really were, you got your career started young, but
Mm-hmm.
were you aware of the quote unquote jazz lifestyle? I mean, it wouldn't have surprised me. So many of these guys were on junk. So many of these guys, I mean, Charlie Parker, everyone wanted to sound like him, so everyone got addicted to heroin. It was
Oh
really a difficult, and I'm not saying you were playing bebop and you weren't like, you weren't like trying to be Stan
yeah.
Getz and things like that, but
Yeah.
were you aware of the musician's life, especially those playing original instrumental improvisational music known as jazz?
Yeah. Oh heck yeah. And you know what? I remember, and I can still see us. Our drummer, one of our drummers, Ernie Durawa.
Yeah.
We would go over his house. He would put on, of course, LP, jazz, bebop, and all that.
I love
we
it.
would just lay there. I mean, just sit there and lay down and just listen to jazz, Jake.
Oh, I love it.
Over
Cleto,
and
man,
over
this
and
is
over.
making
So,
my day, dude.
what's that?
This is making my day. So, I mean, it was
man.
just
I mean,
it was
we were listening all
yeah.
the time, and of course, we weren't playing. We would play a couple of jazz tunes, like maybe for like a dinner thing, and
Yeah.
like maybe a little Satin Doll or How High the Moon. I can remember we did that kind of stuff, but we loved jazz, man. And we were playing nothing but rock and blues. It was great, man.
Cleto, it's such an honor to connect with you, brother. So, I remember like Stan Getz went on the road with Jack Teagarden when he was 16. Did the excuse me, the Dell, what was the name? The Dell what?
Oh, the Dell
The
Kings.
Dell Kings. Did you guys do domestic touring, or is it all within the state of Texas?
You know what? No, it was all through Texas. We would go, man. I can think about it now, Jake. Oh, and by the way, going back to what you just said, no, it's an honor for me. It's a big honor for
Yeah,
me to
no, I know.
interview, and I love to talk about the past. And like I told you, I can talk to you for a whole week, and I'm glad there's going to be.
No,
Other
we're gonna
segments,
do. This is only. I know you got. Dude, the airport's a stressful thing. I appreciate you even taking the time to.
no. That's
But
yeah.
the reason I bring it up is the road, and I think I would love you to talk about this because this is Stan Getz was 16. All the guys in the group, a lot of the cats in Teagarden's band went off to World War II. And
Wow.
so there was a lot of sort of second backbenchers, second, third stringers, and they were kind of they were assholes to a degree, and they would like make Stan sleep with women that had sexually transmitted diseases, or they'd make him. I mean, the point is he was. It was this type of fraternal order, and it really, even though he was on the road 250 days a year or more, it really it had a profoundly negative impact on him, and the road in general can eat you alive. And I just kind of wanted you to talk about, not jumping ahead too far, but just in general, like, was one of the reasons you wanted to rededicate yourself to your family was just the idea that the road was taking its toll on you?
Yeah, Jake, it really was what we were. We were at the Sahara from 1965. Maybe this is another segment, but
no, go ahead. Yeah,
1965 to 71. After 71, I mean, and what a gig we had, man. And I'll get into that later. But we hit the road, Jake. We were all over the Midwest. We went to Hawaii, Canada, Mexico, and Cleto, my son. Excuse me. Cleto was little, so he and my wife would travel with me everywhere. But as soon as he started getting a little bit bigger and going to kindergarten or school or whatever, it was hard to say goodbye to him. We'd come in for a few days to Vegas and then go back out on the road again. But we went through a lot. I went through a lot with the family. I can see myself in my '65 Chevy going down the Wisconsin or whatever.
Oh my gosh.
Baby Cleto in the back, and
baby
and
Cleto
didn't have the little chair.
Yeah.
So I just decided, man, and decided. I said, you know what? This thing kept coming into my mind. I think I'm gonna hang it up. I want to see Junior grow up, and that's exactly what happened. And I could get into that, but maybe that's another segment.
Yeah, no, it's just interesting. I was sometimes, I guess the thing that popped into my head, and I mean, because we'll kind of work backwards here, is, can you explain to me? I mean, I found this album, Los Blues, with this wild band of cats on United Artists.
Yeah.
And I know it wasn't uncommon for bands to get record deals back in the day. It was a very different time. But how the heck did you guys have the infrastructure and apparatus around you to really get out and tour? I mean, you weren't just like, busking on the street. You had actual gigs. How did you? Who did you meet when you were playing the Sahara that got you connected into the United Artists? And
oh my God, man, we met so many people, but there was this one cat named Larry Maxwell.
Larry Maxwell.
Yeah, Larry Maxwell with United Artists.
Wow.
Excuse me. And he walked up to us and he says, "You know what, man? You guys got to work on an album." And at the beginning, remember I told you we were the Dell Kings. But then when he came up to us, I believe it was 71, I believe. Maybe, I think.
Yeah. Sounds
70,
about right,
71.
Yeah.
And he said, you guys, I'm introduce himself, United Artists. He says, you guys are ready, but you guys, at the time there was 5 Mexican guys from Chicanos from San Antonio.
I freaking love this thing. love this.
Excuse me. So he said, you guys are all Latin. Can you guys think of a Latin name for? So when you do this album, I see like a Latin thing. And our drummer Richard, may rest in peace. He says, well, our bass player Louis, who by the way played bass and trumpet at the same time, Jake. You won't believe this.
What are you talking? No, I've heard. Wait, hold on. No, I've never heard of. He played electric bass and trumpet at the same time.
Exactly.
How the heck did he do that?
I don't know, Jake. I don't know how in the hell he would hit the frets with his left hand with his fingers, and it just sounded just like a. It just okay. That's another segment.
I cannot believe. So wait, you go. I just want to be clear. Maxwell said, "You guys are ready, but America may not be ready for 5 Chicanos." Is that what he was saying?
That kind of no. He said something like you guys got to change your name.
Change your name,
like a Latin sounding kind of thing.
I dig. Yeah.
Our bass player had just written a song called Lost Blues, and Larry loved it. He goes, "That's it." So that's when we changed.
Holy cow, man!
I mean, it goes on, and going back to the Sahara, that's oh my God, I got so many stories of.
Well, no, so you, we're doing great here. So you wind up in the Dell Kings. Ultimately, Vegas. I mean, at that time was. I mean, it was a show band. There was so much activity. I mean, you'd have there were cats playing pedal steel guitars down on the main strip. It was such an old school vibe. And how did you wind up? Did you wind up playing a one-off there, and then you guys were like, "Wow, we dig it in Vegas. We're gonna just." Then you wound up staying there. How did you wind up at the Sahara with that residency?
Listen to this, and excuse me.
It's all right.
1963, 5 of us saved $300, built our own trailer, left.
Oh, I love this.
To Santa Ana, California, in a 1958 Cadillac. Our band leader, Frank brother, lived in Santa Ana. We came to Santa Ana with no gig and everything. I was the youngest one. I had just graduated from high school. Graduated with a
GED
degree, like a free college thing to go to St. Mary's University. And in the meantime, we were just rehearsing, playing at the Tiffany Lounge from 8 to 12. By 9:30, 10 o'clock, we were at the bass player's house, learning steps, as we used to call it. Now it's choreography, right?
Right.
We were like a really show band, and we were thinking about Vegas. That was our main.
Wow.
Dream.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow.
So we get to Santa Ana without a gig. Me, I was a mom and pop's boy, right? Remember, I'm green. The other cats had traveled a little bit, but I was green. I was starting to chicken out, and the bass player kept saying, "Hey, man, don't do it. Everything's gonna be fine." And he would tell me in Spanish, "Aguanta la vara." In other words, like, hang on, everything's gonna change.
Dude, you're making my day, dude. Because that. I'm sorry, but that is a petrifying experience when you're just gonna go without a net.
Exactly, Jake, and then we finally. I mean, you want me to tell you? We went to this one club, knocked on the door. It was a Flamengo club in Orange County. Here comes a guy, Bobby. I forget the club owner's name. He was from Dallas, Texas, and we said, "Hey, we have a 5-piece band, and we're looking for a gig." He shook his head. He goes, "Wait a minute. You guys want a gig? Come in tonight. Have your fully dressed uniforms." And I don't know if you remember the uniforms that Bill Haley in the comics.
Of course, yeah.
Had some of those things, right?
Yeah.
So he said, wait here, wait in the parking lot, have your instruments and everything ready. If the back door opens, you got the gig, because these guys, Bill Perry and the Outsiders, start in late every night, and they're pissing me off and all that. Well, we're in the parking lot praying, man, because we need a gig so bad.
Praying.
He opens the door and he motions to go in. Jake, we went there and we tore it up. They had a swing contest, and we were doing nothing but Texas shuffles then, swing contest, and then a twist contest with, So anyway, long story short, we stayed there for I think a couple of months, and then from there we started gigging elsewhere.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait,
then,
I'm sorry. This is so. What? So you were in? You would say you got out to Santa Ana in like 66, 67?
No. 63.
63.
And Larry, but by the way, our band leader slept inside the house. Of course, it's his brother's house. But the rest of the cats, we slept in the garage, man. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Many, many nights. And I remember the guitar player, may he rest in peace, Randy Garibay. He and I would walk out to the orange groves. There was orange groves there way back in them years, and we'd walk around and he would kind of tell me, hey, man, don't worry, because I've always been a warrior ward and I miss mom and pop and that kind of thing. But we finally got a gig and then, but our main thing was Vegas. And like I told you, we were doing choreography. We had a James Brown medley that we danced on every fast tune there was. And a lot of people had never seen that when they saw us. And so we were kicking butt there. And then
were you playing primarily covers, or were you guys already writing original tunes?
We had, we had a few original tunes, mainly instrumentals.
Yeah,
but it was mainly covers.
And I'm just curious about because one of the guys that back 13 years ago when I started my show, one of the cats who still in my heart is Cal Jader, and he had Mongo Santa Maria, Willie Bobo. Did you guys?
Woo.
Was it I know you were playing, like you were stepping, and it was choreographed, and it wasn't.
Yep.
It wasn't Afro-Latin jazz, but did you guys in that early mid-60s period, were you already incorporating percussion, congas or timbales in the group?
Yeah. You know what? Our band leader Frank would play congas.
Wow.
Yeah, but the timbales, I love the timbales.
Can you talk about that? I just want you to talk about they call it there's a word for it. It's called descarga. It's the spiritual discharge that occurs in your brain when you get hit by these polyrhythms by Ray Barretto and Mongo. All right, and it's like a spiritual healing thing, and it's very much coming from like the what they call they call it Santeria, but the spiritual drummings that came out of Cuba and the from the slaves that were forced against their will to come to the States, and I wanted to ask you about how rhythm, Cleto, has been healing for you. I mean, to me, music is it's all music. I'm from the Duke Ellington School, but there's something. I
got a story about that later on.
Beautiful. No, I mean it's just what it is. We stratify everything today. This is rock, and this is this, and this is this, and it's like. Right. It's all music. And then the subjective part is it's either good or bad. And the most beautiful thing about you and your generation is that it was all lumped together. And we're even talking like when you first got out there, this was, the Beatles were just beginning to kind of get on the radar. Yeah. And so it's like a couple things I wanted to talk to you about from those gigs in California is just, can you talk? Were you guys an acoustic band or were you amplified? And then number two, how much credence do you give to the fact that your ears grew the most at that time? Because I mean, let's face it, everyone today, you got the in-ear monitors, you got these state-of-the-art sound systems. Everybody needs to hear everybody else. And back then, right. I mean, you had to balance yourself. And that's kind of what I wanted you to talk about. I wanted you to talk about how you balanced yourself against the other cats, knowing that not everybody was mic'd, and you really had to open your ears.
You know what's funny, Jake? That excuse me. Excuse me. Going back to the ears.
Sure.
When I first started on the show, we went out and had they went to measure for ears thing, blah blah. Blah.
Right,
and
right.
I told my son, that's what I said, Cleto. You know what? I'm from the old school. I don't need
Oh,
that.
dude,
Goes,
that is it, man.
Dad.
That's it.
Yeah, he said, no, Dad, you need him because I'll be talking to you, during the show. Hey, we're not gonna do this tune after all. I'll go back to blah blah blah, whatever, right? I said, okay, but I'm not really happy about it. I like the raw, just the raw
Cleto,
stuff
explain. I need you to talk to younger because it's driving me. Listen, it is what it is. There's tons of beautiful younger players. There's not enough places to play. I just wanted you to talk about that raw sound. That to me is the key. And in fact, if a light stanchion falls over or there's some feedback going on, that environmental sound is part of the music. It's part of the sound. And we have gotten so into this idea of crystal clarity, perfection, and all that does is lead to sterilized music. And I just wanted you to talk about that raw, indigenous sound, even a memory you might have of something crashing or falling down, or just the idea of the environment being part of the musical gumbo.
Yeah, well, it's really funny because when I see, I mean, some so many of these bands they got tracks now, and like you say, they got all these kind of tricks and all that, and I say that's cheating. Back in my day, all we had was a Fender amplifier for the guitar and the bass, and sometimes, Jake, we didn't have we didn't have like a sound system because we were poor, man. We were just
there were no
it,
monitors.
So
you had nothing. Yeah, exactly.
There you go, no monitor. And so if I were to take a solo, I would just step up to the front of the bandstand, which at the beginning of this. By the way, at the beginning of this interview, you said bandstand.
Yeah.
And cats don't say bandstand anymore.
Dude, no, Jake, you are just get Jake Feinberg. That is one. I must say bandstand 50 times a day, dude.
That's all I say. But they can't say stage now. But
yeah, they call it a stage now.
I tell the guys, hey, you know what? I never had the drums weren't mic'd, and then this and like you said a while ago, everything is mic'd nowadays. To me, that's cheating because I like the raw stuff, man.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing. I think as a musician, I think well, also there's a whole other thing about that I have a major problem with. And again, who am I? I'm a journalist and a broadcaster. I'm not a musician. Easy for me to say, but man, Coltrane or McCoy Tyner, if they saw a music stand on the bandstand for a gig, they'd throw it off the bandstand. That wasn't a gig. That was a rehearsal. And now I have my friends here in Tucson where I live, brilliant musicians, and some of them are playing original music, and some of them are only seeing the music. They haven't really had a chance to woodshed on it.
Right.
But the idea that they have the iPads or the music stands,
oh my God,
it's like, man, part of the excitement and also the part of how you grow is by, once you kind of get out of your thinking mind and into the spirit mind, and you are without a net, that's where your individual voice comes out. But the minute you look down at that iPad to check where you are, you're out of that space. And
I'm so glad. I got to interrupt you.
Go ahead, man. Riff, because it's a major problem for me.
I'm so glad you said that because I'm the last one to get an iPad. Everybody.
Cleto, never get one, dude. You don't need it, dude.
I didn't want it. Well, listen to this.
Yeah.
Back in '65, when we turned into Los Blues, later on we added a trombone player. He played everything, and he was an arranger that you heard on the album. And then we added another guy, a trumpet player and a singer too. The musicians would go see us, and we would be playing. Probably it was right before we did that. We recorded the album. We would play some of those songs that you heard on the album, which some of them are pretty difficult, like Smiling Phases we go into all kinds of tempos, all kinds of shit. So the musicians that were there would come up to us and say, man, that was beautiful. Do you guys have sheet music for this? And he said, no. well, how are you playing that? I said, it's all memorized.
It's all in your head, man.
So
I love it,
going
dude.
exactly,
Oh my
Jake, and
God,
and
dude.
and I always said, I said, how can you put all your soul into it when you're reading those little black notes? You know what I mean?
That's what you know what it is like. It's if well, I mean, first of all, I got to ask you really seriously. I mean, after the dude gave you that break in the club, I mean, there was in L.A. There was you had Shelley's Manhole, you had the
Yep.
Experience, you had Whiskey a Go Go. Where what was the club for the Latin funk Los Blues band? I mean, where were you? Where were you really? When musicians would come up to you, what were those clubs? I mean, you weren't playing Shelley's Manhole.
No. You mean in L.A., right?
Yeah,
Man,
yeah,
we
yeah.
worked.
Before you moved to Vegas, yeah.
Oh, okay. We worked so many clubs. We worked in Southgate. Oh my God, Long Beach. I forget
I know. It's but were they salsa clubs or like were they like
no. It was mostly rock and roll stuff. Like
sure,
we
sure.
were doing like James Bond and all that. And then I don't know whether this should be another
No,
segment.
just riff on it. Yeah, we're good. Yeah.
At the Rusty Rooster in Lakewood, California.
The
I'll never forget.
Rusty Rooster.
Rusty
Here we go.
Rooster,
This is what I'm
Lakewood,
talking
California.
about. Yeah.
And this brother comes up to us. And we had just finished doing the James Bond medley, which Jake, I'm not bragging or nothing, but
you killed it. Yeah, I get it. I know you did. Yeah.
And every I mean, we were jumping up and down, and I say the other sax player and myself were jumping up and down, and to this day I'm so thankful to the man upstairs that I still got my teeth, because I could have said, you know what I mean, if I stepped the wrong way.
Oh my God.
But anyway, so this guy Danny Owens, who was a singer at the Hacienda Hotel in Las Vegas, he comes up to us and says, you know what, you cats are ready for Vegas. And we look at each other, and in them days, hey boy, I'm gonna make you a star, that kind of shit.
Yeah. Yep.
And we're going, well, you know what, sir? That's our main dream. That this is our dream to get to Vegas. He goes, come here, and he motioned to us. We go to a pay phone. He puts a dime or quarter, whatever was in there. He calls Bill Guzman from the Silver Dollar Saloon in Las Vegas off the Strip. He's talking to him. Bill, I got a group here that will knock your socks off, and you won't believe. They'll do really, really good at your club. So, long story short, he said he okayed it. Here we go to Las Vegas, man. All excited.
Jimmy Kimmel was hanging out with your son at your house when he was a boy. And
Yep.
I kind of wanted you to talk about just how you got him into that spirit mind, like away from the more, sort of Anglo thinking mind and into the groove mind. Just groove, man. Because ultimately, I know, obviously your son is, has chops, so do you. But there's also a vibe. It's the vibe is more important than anything else. And that's what you instilled in Jimmy.
Yeah. Well, you know, when we first, I'm more than sure my son touched on how he first saw Jimmy. But hey, man, we loved Jimmy since the very beginning. He was very quiet and all that, and I think maybe I made him a little crazy hanging. He was hanging around us and stuff like this. But hey, man, he do with family, and as my son probably told you, they became so tight, man. He would sleep overnight over here. Sometimes we didn't even know he had slept here. And
he loved the anonymity of it, Yeah,
really, man. It's just that we loved him back, but not knowing what was ahead. It's just really something.
Right.
And I'm sure my son told you a whole bunch of stuff, but they speaking of dreams, they had a dream going too, man. And Jimmy had that dream going about the radio thing first, and
Sure.
Of course he got into the TV thing, and he had a dream going, and my son had the other dream going too, and they both made a little pledge like, if I make it, you're coming with me, and vice versa.
Damn. See, I love that because what's so beautiful is that because of that, then you're obviously Jimmy's like, wouldn't it be cool to have your dad in the band. And
There you go.
dude, that comes full circle. You don't, in this life, for me, chronicling this stuff, in order to see stuff come full circle I'm in awe of it. And that, you had stepped away from music for so long and for the right reasons, and you had a great career. And here you get a rebirth. And I just want to know how that made you, ultimately how you've changed your point of view as a musician because of this insanely classic cosmic opportunity.
I mean, Jake, it's a still, and I know I repeat myself a lot, and going back to stage, man, I'm standing there playing, and I look over my son, and he'll take a solo. I think I mentioned that before, and I get chills, and I look across the way, and there's Jimmy Kimmel. I'm going like, wow, man, look. I mean, it's just so hard to believe that this happened in my life. And I think Jimmy realized, you know what, man, Cleto's dad did something for his family that something that he loved. It was in his blood all the time. So I think I think we're going to do this, and I'll never forget when that. Maybe my son already mentioned this, but he was with Mark Anthony, I believe, and he was off a month.
Right.
And he called us. I was still working at Caesar's Palace. He was off. He was off for a week. I'm sorry. He was off for a week, and that's when Jimmy called him and said, hey, Junior, because he still calls him Junior. Hey, Junior, guess what? ABC might want to give me a show, and I'd like to audition your band. And Junior said, hell yeah. Can you do it? And Junior said, hell yeah, I'll be right there. Remember, he's still on the road, man, like I was. So,
the bottom line is that, listen, once he made the audition, the first thing Jimmy said when they were thinking about the band was, let's bring in the old school. Let's bring in Cleto the second. And that's what I want to talk about, is that vibe. The vibe that you brought to the bandstand, because that is about, man, it's about striving for excellence. That's really the key of it, and for him to get this show, which is like, way out, and then obviously he's going to remember where he came from, but for his request to be for you, I want you to talk about your soul, the essence of your soul, not so much about I just want you to talk about why he requested you.
I really think that Jimmy, excuse me, that Jimmy loved what I did. Like I said a while ago, I quit music, to see my son grow up, and he knew that I missed it so much, and when he told Cleto, he goes, hey man, you think your dad would like to be in the band? And Cleto thought it was a great idea. So going back, Cleto invited my wife and I, as we always supported him, man, all the time.
Sure,
we were right there
sure.
For him. He said, "Mom and Dad, can you all come to the audition? It's going to be at Cafe Cordial in Sherman Oaks, a real nice little dinner place, a restaurant, a club place." And I said, sure. And right before he hung up, Jake, he said, by the way, Dad, bring your horn. I said, what do you mean bring my horn? It's been in mothball for 30 years. I played every once in a while. We would drive over and I'd sit in with him a little bit. But, my chops weren't really well. Anyway, we went and the place was packed, and they started playing and everything was going great. And I'm going to forget his name. The president of ABC was Lloyd.
Right. Brother Lloyd. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah.
Yeah, Lloyd Braun was there. Of course, Jimmy and a few other guys, pertaining to the show and stuff. And so Cleto's playing, and then he finishes at one certain tune, and then he goes, "Hey, Dad," and he motions for me to go get my horn. So I went in the back of the kitchen and put my horn together. And we played Pick Up the Pieces, man. I'll never forget it. Every time I hear it, I get chills. Wow. We played Pick Up the Pieces, and it went over great. And as I'm walking off the stage, Lloyd Braun comes over to me, and he goes, "Hey, congratulations. We just hired your son to be Jimmy's musical director." And I thanked him. I said, "Sir, thank you so much.
So beautiful.
We really appreciate that." And we're so happy. And I looked over to my wife. She's smiling because he kind of overheard him say that. And so I said, "Thank you again." And I shook his hand, and he goes, "Wait a minute." And I pivoted back to where he was at. He goes, "By the way, you're in the band too." And I'll never forget what I said. This old guy in the band, it's exactly what I said, Jake.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it should have been.
And you know what he said? He says, "Yes, Jimmy wants you in the band also." So, I mean, oh my God, my wife and I never even discussed it. And God bless my wife. She supported me, Jake, through thick and thin.
Well, I mean, there's a couple things going through my mind. I mean, when Jimmy used to hang out, when he was a kid, he knew already that you had made the ultimate sacrifice for your family. Did he not?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is deep stuff, man. I mean, I want, how do you communicate with your father today? Obviously, he set you on your path, and he's looking down on your family. And I just wonder, like, with somebody who's been here on this earth a lot longer than me, how you still communicate with him, because there's this lineage that, even though he wasn't a musician, you know, that in your family, that essence needs to continue on.
You know, Jake, as my dad, I think I told you, he loved to sing, and why he didn't become a musician, I don't know, but he loved music, man. Every time we would rehearse at my house, before we'd leave, he would ask us to play Georgia by Ray Charles, of course, and then he would ask for Honky Tonk, an instrumental by Bill Doggett, way back there.
I love Doggett, dude, the organ player. Yeah.
Oh man, are you kidding?
Are you kidding me?
Clifford Scott, man. Scotty, we call him. He was from San Antonio too.
Wow.
And yeah, man. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So so my dad, I always said, "Pop, you should have been a musician," but he just loved music, man. And I think that's where I got the love for music, because just seeing him, how much he loved different kind of music, man. It was just, he was great, man. And I miss him so much, and I still talk to him, man. And I know he's smiling down.
Good.
At my son and I, every time we hit the show, man, because
wow.
And my mom also, man. And I just told a story yesterday where when my mom, I just lost my mom about a year ago.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, right before the show, I would call her and I said, "Mom, we're getting ready to go on." She was in a nursing home, wasn't doing too well, and she would say, "See, mijo," in other words, son, "you and mijo give it all you got," saying you and Junior give it all you got tonight. And I just went on stage like she had just given me her blessing. So I'm on every note I play is going to come from my heart and straight to her, you know? Yeah, man.
Bringing tears to my eyes. No, because, you know, my grandma, the one thing I remember, she was a profound woman, but the one thing that, you know, I struggled sometimes emotionally growing up, and she said to me, "Keep punching, Jake. Keep punching." And that's, that's what I'm talking about. Punch the clock, man. Go up there, strive for excellence. You know, I have to ask you, it's great bass player Larry Klein's birthday today, and I've been watching these videos of Freddie Hubbard, the trumpet player.
Oh my God!
And I really need you to talk about your experiences, if you had any, with Miles or Freddie or any of those cats. Like, to me, like, those guys, I'm watching this video from '78. I mean, Freddie Hubbard, from note one, is going for it. For it in front of a packed house at Montreux. And I just wonder your experiences, if you ever crossed paths with Miles or any of those cats.
You know, okay, going back to Freddie Hubbard, my son and a few of the cats in the band got to meet him.
Oh my God, I love it.
Got to meet him, but it seemed like I knew him. They would hang at the Oyster House in Studio City there, close to where my son lived at the apartments there. And he would tell them stories, man. And my son, to this day, still tells stories about him. And I wish I would have met him. And going back to Miles, I I met Miles Davis.
You did?
Because I working with Sammy Davis backstage. They went to this is when he was going out with Cicely Tyson.
Sure.
And okay, so I greeted them at the door, and they went backstage, dressing room A. I'll never forget it, Caesar's Palace. And I said, "Oh, hi, Miss Tyson, how you doing?" Blah blah blah. I welcome, got him a little drink, and then Miles was a little tired, so he says, "I think I'm gonna go upstairs and I'm a little hungry too." So I told Miss Tyson, I said, "Look, I can get some food up there for you."
I love it,
So,
Cleto, man.
Yeah. So yeah, man. So she gave that. She was gonna give me her room key. I said, "No, don't worry. We've got room keys because the butler, always had the access to the room." So I went up and I spoke to him, and man, he looked at me like, "Hey, man," with that voice of his.
God.
"Hey, man, I think I know you from somewhere." I said, "Well, I don't think so. I've never
Oh
met
my
you, but,
God,
I
this
used
is
to play-
insanity.
I said I used to play saxophone, and I just quit the band not too long ago. Because this was back in '73, I believe, when I started with Mr. D, Sammy Davis. He goes, "Oh man, you look just like the rebel." But man, for me, I went downstairs, Jake. I was shaking, man. I mean, for me to meet this man, and he was so sweet to me.
Yeah, I got to tell you that is one of the most. You know what? All he saw was your spirit. That's what he.
Man.
That's what I mean. He didn't know you personally. He knew you were a cat, though.
Yeah. I think he felt something, man.
He did feel. Of course, he did, man.
Yeah. Oh man. It was
honestly, then that is So, I just like. Did you understand or realize at that time sort of those guys, one reason it's so amazing, you talk about Freddie or Miles or Lee Morgan, Coltrane too, trying to play original music and sing for your supper, be successful was a really hard thing to do. At that time, it was much easier, even though it was still shady. I mean, with Sammy, were you able to stretch out a little bit, or did it become a formula trip kind of gig? And how did you get yourself off if it was like you were playing the same show every night?
Okay, but I wasn't playing with Sammy Davis. I was a butler there because I had started in '73. If you don't mind me,
wait, hold on. I want to be clear though. I thought you were with, Los Blues. And then you eventually, when your son was born, you walked away, but you actually took a break from music a first time.
Yeah, no. I quit the band in '73.
Wow.
Right. And he was born in '66, and I remember we were after we left the Sahara. I think it was '70 or '71. I believe, and then we started going on the road. We were all over the place. And there's a whole story to this, but it had been on my mind that I wanted to see him grow up. I think I touched on that.
No, but I want to be clear on something. You're telling me that you were not. You were in your butler persona. You weren't being a cat at that. Like when you weren't with Sammy at that time when you met Miles.
Exactly.
Holy cow.
And Jake,
and he talked to you just like one of the cats, man. That's deep, man. That's deep stuff.
Jake, in 1965, when we were at the Sahara, that's where we met Sammy Davis, and I can't tell you enough about him. I love.
Go ahead, man. The floor is yours.
Oh, what a generous.
Floor is yours.
Anyway, he came up, and we knew. Okay, just like now at the show, I'm the first guy to get dressed. Just like I did back in '65. And the guys knew that I was dressed. I had my suit on and everything. And they would say, "Hey, Clete, go down there and see who's in the audience." And in them days, man, I can see. Yeah, I'd open the audience. Jake, I'm not a name dropper, but everybody was there. Judy Garland.
Come on.
Who worked in the Congo room opposite, across the casino from us. Judy Garland, Johnny Carson, the Rat Pack, and blah, blah, blah. I mean, on and on and on. And that Sammy Davis came up to it one time and I go, hey, you guys let me sit in, man. How about, and I'll never forget this. How about let's do What I Say in the key of D. And we did it, man. He tore up the house, Jake.
Are you kidding me?
And he come and sit in, and also I got to name another guy, and then I'll go back to Mr. D. Jackie Wilson, and he was at the Riviera.
Man, yeah.
And Jackie Wilson, to this day, my son will tell you, is my favorite singer of all time.
Why?
To meet him,
Why?
And oh my God!
Why is he? Why does he cut above? Why does he cut above the rest? Is your favorite?
What's that?
Why does he cut above the rest as your favorite?
You mean Jackie Wilson?
Yeah.
Okay, because Jackie Wilson he had a range on him, and you know that. I mean, I've read where he sang opera and all kinds of stuff, and then for him to come do the blues, and my favorite song of his was Dogging Around. My wife and I used to dance to that, not knowing that years later I was gonna meet him. But anyway, going back to Mr. D, Sammy Davis, he sang with us, and he'd come in and out, and then he invited us to his show at the Sands, and man, I mean, and then so anyway, okay, I'm gonna condense this a little bit.
Go ahead.
In 1973, and remember, I had been thinking about quitting the band because I wanted to see Junior grow up. We're working in Hawaii. I went to church, picked up a Sunday paper. And in the Sunday papers, I don't know if you're too young to remember, there was a thing in the middle of the Sunday paper. It was like a parade. I think it was called. It was like an extra paper that they gave you with all kinds of information about different things.
Right.
Anyway, I go to my hotel room, the Holly Mackay, right in Waikiki. I lay down in bed. Open the thick old Sunday paper, and this thing fell right on my lap. It was I believe it was called The Parade.
Wow.
And when I opened it up, Jake, it said something like, what every man thinks at the age of 30. And I was 30 years old. All right? Am I being true to my family? Have I chosen the right profession? And Jake, on and on and on. And I looked up at the ceiling, and I said, you know what? To myself, my man upstairs is talking to me. In other words, because I had been thinking about it, but I didn't have the guts to tell the guys. Remember, we were together for years, man. And we were like brothers, Jake. And I mean, on the bandstand, we could talk to each other with the eyes, like with the horns. You know what I mean?
No, I get the telepathy was there. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We were so tight. We would squeak, you know, that kind of thing. So anyway, from Hawaii we came to Colorado Springs. I told the guys what I wanted to do, and our drummer, may he rest in peace, he goes, What are you gonna do? I said, Richard, I have no idea what I want to do. I want to see Junior grow up. I don't care if I get an 8-to-5 job with brown bag and, you know, sandwich or whatever. I just want to see him grow up. So that's what happened. Okay, so then everybody went back home to San Antonio. We split up, and I've always felt guilty that maybe I started the domino thing, but they did good over there and everything.
Would you say that? I want to be clear though. Going back to the Dell Kings, was it like self-policing? Everybody was their own person, or were you considered the sort of the front man?
No. Everybody, and you know what's funny, that we didn't even. I say band leader, but he was kind of like, we would say he was a spokesman of the group.
Right. Right. He wasn't the leader necessarily.
No. Yeah. So.
No, I mean you. I mean, what at that time was also like it's. I want to be clear, as a road dog or as a live bandstand musician, you were not. It wasn't conducive enough money wise to continue as well.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You know what The money was pretty good, but yet, you know,
really,
it wasn't really that.
So you really, you dedicated your life to your family.
Yeah, Jake. Yeah. But you know what? I mean, and I gotta admit, I missed it, especially when I started working at Caesar's Palace, and I'd hear all the cats warming up and all that. You know?
Dude, I love Cleto, man. This is the most healing It's just you surrendered, man. You fucking leaned into it, and like it came back tenfold because you actually got a chance to put your son on a path towards glory, and now you're
Yeah.
able to share in that, and it's absolutely beyond words. Yeah, there was a guy that I wanted to talk to you about. You talk about Jackie Wilson with the octave range and the sort of,
Oh, are
but
you
but
kidding?
but the evolution of the blues. The guy I interviewed, such a beautiful cat, John Hendricks. Did you ever cross paths with him?
No, never did,
Evolution of the
man.
blues. Was that on your radar at all? The evolution of the blues.
No, no, but no, not really. But hey, I love the blues, man. That's
Yeah.
all we grew up with. That, like I told you.
Did BB King come through or any of the heavy blues cats?
You know, we never met BB King at all.
Wow,
But,
wow!
we
Because
played
you
all
were
this
playing
stuff.
blues, man.
Bobby Bland, all those guys.
You never met those cats.
No, never met him, man. Oh God, I wish I would have met him, but oh God. But hey, I don't want to interrupt you, but before I lose my thing.
Go ahead.
Okay, so the band split up. I came home to Las Vegas. The other cats went home and always told my mom and pop, if we ever split up, I'm coming home because I miss you all. I love you all so much. We were really close, man. We had such a close family. I'm talking about aunts and uncles, grandparents.
I did. Yeah, no, it's beautiful.
We had that closeness happening. But what happened, like my wife always says, we never know what God's plan is. We stayed and they all left. So, Jake, 2 days after I split with a band, we went to the restaurant, my wife and I, and we said we saw this guy named Jack Turan. He was a manager of room service at Caesar's Palace. So his sister-in-law lived across from us at the apartments. So he said, yeah, Fran just told me you guys split up. I said, yeah, Jack. He says, well, what are you going to do? I said, Jack, I have no idea. I've been playing music since I was 17, no other trade or nothing. He goes, why don't you come talk to me Monday, and I'll make you a busboy, and then as soon as they finish the central tower, I'll make you a waiter. And I said, okay. Well, that sounds good. So, Jake, I started as a busboy, and I'm going toward Mr. D. Listen to this. I think it was the second day I was there. I was cleaning up dirty dishes in the hallways, and then I went down to the lobby, cut across our department. And who do I see there in the first salon? Is Sammy Davis Jr.
Oh my God!
Trying on a fur coat. And so I opened the door. I said, Hey, Mr. D, is that for you or for some chick? And he looked at me through the mirror. He swiveled around like fast. Cleto, what happened to you guys? I said, Mr. D,
oh my God.
I quit the band. He goes, ain't nothing wrong with that, babe. Ain't nothing wrong with that. He says, oh, so what are you doing now? I said, I just started a couple of days ago. I'm a busboy. He goes, you know what? Hold on. Come on in. He picks up the phone. He calls the entertainment director. He says, hey, Tom, I've got family here, and I want him. He just started working a couple of days ago. I want him to work with me backstage as my butler. And Jay, that's where all this started, man. I worked with Sammy Davis, Frank Sinatra, Dionne Warwick, Julio Iglesias, Natalie Cole. And I mean, I can't remember. I worked with all of them back then. I was honored to be working with all these people. And then, but like I said a while ago, I'd hear the cats warming up. And I mean, I would get chills. Sure, I missed it. But, I was so glad to be with my family and to watch Junior grow up. And I wanted to join in the school activities, which I did. They would call me the school dad or something because I would go and cook for them or, grill and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you know what, Cleto, I'm coming to Vegas. There's a bunch. I'm coming because I want to eat your food, man.
What's that?
I want to have a dinner with you, man. I want you to cook for me, man.
Oh, yeah. Man, that would be so.
Yeah, listen. I mean, this is the key, though. Like, so you were a butler for like how many minutes? Like very little time.
No, no.
No, I'm saying
I
you
was
you did you were working with Mr. D and doing the busboy stuff.
no, no. Well, yeah. In other words, I was still like waiter butler stuff, but I would only mainly work backstage with them. I would go and set up the stage and everything, and stay back there till the show was on. I used to know. I mean, the
Oh
lineup
my
of the
God,
songs
this is
and everything. You know,
insane.
being
So
back there was
you
great,
were
man. It was.
yeah
I was like family, like he
yeah
said,
yeah
and
yeah
he treated me like like family, Jake.
sure.
And before we quit the band, Mr. D was responsible for signing us with Queen's Booking Agency out of New York. He bought us uniforms. He sent us to, we worked at the Madison Square Garden with Curtis Mayfield,
Oh my
Slappy
God.
White, the Dells, Detroit Wheels. I mean, everybody. And then from there, we worked at Benefit opposite, what's the name of this keyboard player, man? Famous keyboard player.
Elton John.
What is it?
Elton John.
No.
Billy Joel.
But
Billy
he was a brother, man.
Oh, Donny
he did,
Hathaway.
no. Oh, no. He was really like a jazz piano player.
It's okay. Listen, I mean, the bottom line, Cleto, is that this is absolutely a profound. Did you ever cross paths with cats like David Fathead Newman or anyone like that?
Oh man, he was my favorite, man. And I still to this day
Yeah.
play Hard Times by David Fathead Newman, and I tell my wife that whenever I
Yo,
leave
dude, that
this
is
earth,
the soundtrack of 2025 for Jake Feinberg, dude. Right there. I have to check that out.
oh my God! Well, that's what I want to be played on my funeral, man.
Wow.
I've always
Whoa,
said that.
whoa,
You know,
whoa.
I love I love them to pieces, man. And Jake, speaking of musicians, man, it's just I've gone okay. The very last year we were at the Sahara Hotel. Guess who guess who we played opposite? We were on. They were on, but before us, and then we went on. I had the honor. We had the honor of playing opposite Duke Ellington, so I got to meet all those cats.
What?
Hey, oh my God! I mean, Paul Gonsalves, Johnny Hodges, Rosa Procope, Cat Anderson, everybody, Jake. And let me tell you, if I can, I hope I'm not over talking.
No, you're doing great, man.
Russell Procope on his last day, Russell Procope, who played alto, and he and I got tight there at the end. We'd hang out. You remember our last show was at 4:45, and the cats were still out in the audience, man, hanging out and
4:45
telling
a.m.
stories and shit. And so Russell Procope asked me, "Hey,
Oh,
Clee,
shit.
what kind of horn you play?" I said, I play an old Busher, man, and my dad paid $60 for it, and I still got it. He goes, you know what? Leave that information with our manager. Send me your address and everything and all, blah, blah, blah. He said, I'm going to send you a new horn. Well, I didn't know whether to believe him or not. Well, Los Blues went to Mexico City. Excuse me. On the way, when I got back from Mexico City, my wife says, "Hey, you have a package at the Greyhound station. Jake, can you remember they used to send packages to Greyhound station in them days?" So my wife and I, it's like yesterday, man. We drove over, went to the Greyhound station, gave him my information. He goes, "Sir, yeah." He said, "It's been sitting here for a while." I said, Jake, it was a brand new saxophone that Cleto started with when he started playing. He picked up a brand new horn given to me by Rosa Procope, man. And
You pronounce it it's Procope. It's Procope.
Procope. Yeah,
wow.
I'm mispronouncing it.
Wow. No, I think
But,
you're right.
I mean,
Mav, you were there.
all those cats, man, and now going back to the other six player, I mean, Johnny Hodges was the greatest, the rabbit. And anyway, Paul Gonsalves, man, he would play his ass off every night, Jake. I mean, we couldn't believe this cat, man, and such a sweet cat. And we'd sit there and he'd tell us stories, and like I'm talking about now.
Wow, that's incredible. That's incredible.
I mean,
Wait, hold on. What about Basie's band?
Oh, guess what? Oh my God! I'm glad you brought that up because I don't know where to start, where to end. When I was working with Mr. D at Caesar's Palace,
Oh my God,
he had Count Basie with him.
oh my God.
Man.
Was Freddie Green in the band?
Exactly.
Holy cow!
I mean, I never heard a guy whole time like that. Oh,
Yeah, man, dude. I mean, was
so
was Harold Jones on drums or Sonny Payne?
No, it's a Sonny Payne. I think
Holy
he
cow.
was. I think. Am I saying was it Rufus Jones or?
Yeah,
Sonny
yeah, yeah.
Payne?
Speedy Jones, yeah.
Yeah, Speedy. Yeah. He was a good. I mean, they were all great cats. So
This
Mr.
is
D
unbelievable,
would have a
dude.
special show, man. I mean, God bless Mr. D. He would have a special show on Saturday nights for all the entertainers. So he would work 3 shows a night. And back in them days, you do 2 shows a night normally.
Right.
But he, as tired as he was, he'd get out there, man, and just jam for all the cats on the strip. Mostly all entertainers, and But for me to meet all these guys, and I've got a picture of me and Count Basie. He was on his at the end there. He was on his little bike or whatever because he couldn't walk very well. What do you call those little bikes or whatever?
But the stationary bikes, the
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. So I took a picture backstage with him, and I mean, you know what, Jake? I'm not a name dropper, but what the hell? I'm getting.
Come on, man. This is your story. This is your interview, man.
I got so tied with Sammy Davis Senior, man. We would sit there, man, and he would chat about the old. Hey, man, he talked about I mean, even me and
Sammy Davis Senior. Sammy Davis Senior.
Senior. He was such a sweetheart, man. I got to meet Sammy Davis's mama, Elvira, also. And as tired as I was working at 11 to 12 hours with Sammy Davis when he first started. And sometimes I would be going home, Jake. It must have been 4 or 5 o'clock. And the cats from day shift, the day shift was coming in, and they would go, Cleto, what the hell are you still doing here? I said, I just left Sammy Davis. So he would, the Mr. D, man, he would say, hey, Cleto, where you going, babe? I said, I'm going home, Mr. D. He goes, come over here. Listen to this. Come over here and have some sit-downs. That's what he would say. And Jake, he would start talking about all he and his uncle and his dad went through with the Will Maston Trio, all the racism there was way back then, and how he struggled. He told me every story, and I'll never forget one of those nights we were talking about the same thing. And I always tell Cleto this, and boy, how right he was. He said, well, right before he shut the door, he walked me to the front door of the suite. He said, Cleto, exact words, you and I will be dead and gone. And there still is going to be racism in this world, babe. I'll never forget that. I told myself on the way home, driving down Spring Mountain Road, I said, I'll never forget what he said. And look, Jake, he was so right, man. But
he didn't say so he just said there's always going to be racism, but how was he so graceful in overcoming it? He was an appealing face to white audiences.
Exactly. And you know what? A few of the brothers would make fun of him.
I bet.
Because he was gone away. But hey, man, everybody loved this. Oh, God, he just...
But he just said there's always going to be racism. It wasn't like, but you need to overcome it.
No, yeah. There you go. No, he was
wow.
The way he spoke, Jake, and you know this, he never went to school, and the way they treated him in the army, he told me a few stories like that. But I mean, he was just such a sweetheart. I was afraid. He found out somewhere or other that the gratuities that he left for me, I had to split them with the other waiters. And when he found out, you know what he did? He bought me a Betamax. Remember those Betamax?
Oh, I sure do. Yeah.
The recorders. He went and told Jolly Brown, his assistant. He said, "Jolly, go get Cleto a Betamax." And one day I walk in, and right in front of the bar was this box. So when he walked in, he goes, "Cleto, that's for you, babe." And exact words, he said, "Let me see them guys split this up." He says, "I'm going to send Jolly. That's what he says. "I'm going to send Jolly to your house. And he's going to set it all up for you and everything." And to this day, Jimmy Kimmel Jr., my son, talk about the time that Sammy Davis gave us a Betamax. And when they asked Jimmy Kimmel, who was the first concert you went to? And he says, Cleto Sr. took me to go see Sammy Davis, and we hung out in his immediate dressing room. Jake, there's just so many stories, man. It would take me, I don't know.
Yeah, but Cleto, listen, we just cooked for 40 minutes, so I'm gonna call you tomorrow. We'll do another installment. All right?
Sounds good, buddy.
Yeah,
sounds good. And Jake, forgive me about if I'm over talking, but
Cleto, man, I'll let you know. Listen to me. I will let you know if you're never gonna go astray, bro. But you don't need to worry.
Brother.
All right?
Thank you, man. All right, brother. We'll talk tomorrow. Let me know whatever.
Yeah, man. Be cool.
Thank you, buddy. You too, man.
Later,
Love you,
man. Peace.
Okay, brother.
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
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 You know, I just kind of wanted you to talk about the kind of drummer that you enjoyed working with. There's like a lot of cats who have a very sort of quantized approach to the drums, very up and down, very linear. And then there's this sort of more round rhythm where cats, they feather the bass drum and they sort of dance around the downbeat. And I kind of wanted you to talk about some of the seminal drummer that you played with that you were really able to really get in the same time feel as him.
Okay, I'll go back to when my younger days, and then when I
Please.
played with a couple of cats, and I sure there was a favorite, but I got to name a couple of cats that were just like swinging, man, and way back then, yeah, so I got to work with Ernie Durawa, who this cat, man, is just
who is that? I don't know who that is, man.
Okay, Ernie Durawa has played with the Texas Tornadoes.
Oh my God.
He moved from San Antonio to Austin, Texas, and he's played with a whole bunch of them, man. And I believe he started under. I might have the wrong name, Roy Haynes, maybe.
Dude, Roy, Roy just he passed right before his 100th birthday this year.
Oh, man.
Dude, I cannot believe that wait, how do you spell Eddie's last name?
You mean Ernie?
Ernie, yeah, Ernie's last name.
Ernie. It's Durawa.
Is he still with us, by any chance? Is he still with us, or?
Oh, no. He's still with us.
I got to talk to that cat immediately.
Yeah.
Dude.
Oh, yeah. He's got a lot of stories.
Oh,
too,
man. All right. So anyway, he apprenticed under Master Haynes.
Oh my God, yeah, man. And he's a monster. And then I have to name another cat, man, which may he rest in peace. His name is Richard Garza, and he played with Los Blues and the Dell Kings. When we first started with the Dell Kings, and then we turned into Los Blues. And this cat, man, was just the greatest drummer ever. And just like Ernie, man, was always practicing. He carried a drum pad. Remember those drum pads? The guys that.
Are you kidding me? Joe Morello was playing those on the State Department tours on the beach, dude.
See, yeah, yeah. So going back to what you asked me, I mean, I work with so many good drummers, but I work with these guys more. You know what I mean? And they were just slamming, man. And back.
Can you talk about Garza? His style specifically, I mean, to me, like the point of the greatest drummers, I don't care what genre of music, they're really painting on the drum kit. They're keeping the time, and they're playing melodically. And
Yeah.
I wanted you to talk about Garza. Like, I mean, was he a hard hitting drummer, or was he a painter?
You know what, man? He wasn't a hard hitting drummer, but he was right there, Jake. And
Every
I
time.
loved, yeah, I loved the way he would. Back in Texas, man, where I'm from, the double shuffle was so important, and
Oh,
not too many cats had that down. And Ernie and Richard had that down, but Richard, I mean, like I say, this cat was like in front of the drum. he would sit on the kitchen table and had his drum pad with him. He was always going,
oh my
and
God.
and he loved jazz the way we all do, and I mean, it's just he was just a great drummer. That his time was impeccable. It was just like right there, man, all the time. It's just so our rhythm section was like buzzing all the way through.
The double shuffle is it's a lot of cats can't really get the feel of that.
There you go.
I want
There
you to talk
go.
about that. That double shuffle emanates from the state of Texas, right?
I always heard that, and I believe it with all my heart that that's where it started, man.
Right.
But going back to what you said, if you don't feel it, you can't play it. And to me, and to so many cats back home, if you play a shuffle and you're not playing a double shuffle, it's not a shuffle. You know what I mean?
No, I dig.
You gotta have that, that kind of.
Absolutely.
Oh heck yeah, man, for sure, man. Especially shuffle, which I've always loved shuffles, and every once in a while in the show, I'll the cats, my son Cleto will say, "Dad, just play a blues shuffle. We'll just do whatever."
No, we'll vamp
So,
over it. Yeah,
so
I dig. Yeah.
we still play the blues shuffle, man, which I love.
Cleto, can you talk about just because I think it's important? Los Blues, Garza was in that band, and
Yep.
I mean, you did what you had to do for your family, but would you say that you had good closure with most of the cats, even though maybe they were a little bit bummed that you left the band? Were you able to sort of have closure with those cats that have left this planet from the group?
Jake, I really did, and God bless them, man. They really understood. They really understood what I was doing, and if they didn't tell me right there and then, because hey, man, it broke our heart. We cried when when it was all over. But they understood. If it didn't, maybe it took them a little while, but then they go, oh man, now I know why he did it. Like a lot of people still do, and God bless my son will tell me over and over. He goes, Dad, you did a beautiful thing for us, and then Jimmy Kimmel, man, God bless Jimmy Kimmel too. He understood that. He knew that I had done it for my family, and like I told you before, sure I was confused, but yet I really wanted to just see my son grow up mainly, and I got to do it not knowing what the man upstairs had planned for me.
Oh my God! I mean, I'll tell you, through those years, because sometimes, it's easy for resentment to sort of creep in. You're being a busboy. You got these cats coming in, and they're playing their horns. They're playing the music. They're on tour. They're having a ball, and it would be easy on a down night to say, I can play with these. I can play with anybody, man. But like, even though even though naturally anybody would question their own decisions, I just want you to talk about how you always kept an open, loving heart, and how you kept the dark corners of your heart, how you were able to clear out those dark corners to remain, because ultimately that was the test. If you were like okay, like I love my family, but I want to be near my family. But you were conflicted because you left music too soon, and you were sort of, just sort of, it was like a pity party. That Kimmel thing never would have come back around. But you kept in. How did you really, even in those angst moments, how did you focus yourself? Did you have a mantra? Did you pray? Did you chant? I mean, Cleto, I mean, this is like real stuff because it's even for me. I mean, I sometimes don't always count my blessings, and I have to check myself and say, you know, man, you got to step back and be grateful for what you've already been, all these amazing people you've been able to talk with and pull stories out of. And yeah, it's not always going to be 10, Mach 12, but you got to be grateful. I mean, how did you stay grateful, especially when you were doing work that some people, some artists would consider beneath them?
You know, it's you said pray. I did. You know, I believe a lot in prayer, man, and I prayed a lot. When I would get confused, I would start praying, and I would tell the man upstairs, man, I know that you got me, and if you want me to go back, on tooting that horn, I know you'll work it out for me.
Right.
You know,
right.
and you know, God bless Sammy Davis Jr. One time I did it was a talent show. In fact, my son Cleto and I played together one time, but the first time Mr. D was a judge, you know, on one of the things I did. So then this was during the day, and then at night when I saw him in his dressing room, I was setting up the dressing room. He walks in and he goes, "Cleto, you still honking, babe." That's his exact words. I'll never forget. You still honking, and you know what, babe? I have a feeling you're gonna go back to it one day. But take care of your family first. And look, man. I mean, that's woo. And
wow, man. That is all. That is the direct source right there, man.
Oh my God. He's just like a blessing. You know, he said, you know what? Take care of your family. And you know what? You're gonna come back to it. You watch and look. I mean, not knowing what was ahead of me, man. It's just that, and like I told you a while back, I still get chills, man. Playing next to my son. Are you kidding? What dad would not love that? Playing the same instrument that I'm playing, and then, like I said before, I look across the way, and then there's Jimmy Kimmel, which is he and my son are responsible for me to be tooting that horn again, man. You know?
Wow, Sammy D, Mr. D into Kimmel, dude. Unbelievable.
You know, man.
God.
And you know what, Jake, if you don't mind, I'm going to go back.
Go ahead, man.
To 1963, when we were loading up our trailer, closing night, in front of the Tiffany Lounge on Houston Street, San Antonio, Texas. We're loading up our trailer. We were going to leave the next day, and we were, you know, excited. But here come two cats, which I won't mention the name, musicians, friends of ours. And right before we shut the gate, they were walking down the sidewalk on Houston Street, and kind of like laughed at us and goes, "Hey, we'll see you guys in a couple of weeks when you come back starving." And our bass player, may rest in peace, Jimmy Casas, wanted to kick their ass. I said, "Jimmy, man, no, man, hey, just be cool." And the reason they said that, Jake, is because a few bands had tried leaving and left, San Antonio to go to California, or they had dreams too, like we did, and unfortunately they came back, So that's probably what these guys were referring to, and I'll never forget, man. They laughed at us, and maybe that made us say, like, you know what, we're really gonna do it. We're gonna make it somewhere or other. And look, man, our dream came true about, especially coming to Vegas, man, and we did it. Working opposite, Louis Primo, our main, and me as a sax player. I love Sam Butera, and
wow.
And man, I get chills as I'm speaking right now, because me and Sam would sometimes warm up together, and he would tell me, "Hey, man, practice that Orban book." I don't even remember that Orban book.
No, oh my God, this is sick.
in fact, when I got to see speaking of sax players, when we went to the Adams West Theater, when we got to California, we went to go see Cannonball, another hero of mine.
Cannon, man.
And I got to meet him, man. I got to meet him.
Talk about, dude, he is in, I've been listening relentlessly. It's just weird because I'm watching this video that I have this morning of the Downbeat Awards from 75, and the announcer gets on, and I mean, we're talking about on this stand to open the show, it's Rasan Roland Kirk, Sonny Rollins, Ayrto, Stanley Clark, Lenny White, Chick Corea, George Benson, and they open with a celebration of Cannonball, who passed away that year, with his tune "Walk Tall." And Cannon, man. I mean, I've been listening to his stuff with Roy McCurdy and Walter Booker. I'd love you to talk about the opportunity to hang with Cannon.
Oh, he didn't know who we were, and I don't know how we got to go. How we got to go backstage,
right?
And I got to talk to him, man. And I know I took a picture with him, and where it's probably in the closet somewhere in boxes or something.
Get it? I need to see that picture, dude. I need it.
But you know what, man? I loved him more after he spoke to me. He gave me advice, and I'll never forget. He said, "Practice that album book." Frontwards and backwards, he said, but he was such a sweet cat, and I got to meet Nat Adderley, and I forget, was it the drummer, was it Philly Joe Jones? I forget.
Yeah, it might have been Philly Joe at that time, definitely.
I think so, man.
Holy cow, man.
But man, and you talk about, I mean,
those are the cats right there, man.
Oh, man, oh, God, just unbelievable, man. He was such a great guy, and but going back, man, it's just like going back to the Dell Kings. We had that dream going, and I don't know if I mentioned somebody else came up to us and said, you know what? If you guys want to make it, you guys gotta hire a chick singer to front the group, or else you'll never make it. They were giving us good advice,
sure,
kind of like shaky, that kind of thing. Which, hey, man, we were just starting out, but we felt we were ready, and I think I told you we learned a lot of somebody else came and told us, if you guys want to go to Vegas, you should learn some show tunes, and we did. We learned, a whole bunch of show tunes and stuff like that, and when we got to Vegas, we said, yeah, because some of the cats were doing show tunes, and especially in the lounges,
sure,
that kind of thing. But for us to, and you know what, before, it was 1964 when we were working at the Hideaway Club in San Diego. And we decided to drive to Vegas. We still had that 58 Cadillac, man. drive to Vegas and check out the Sahara Hotel where Louis Prima was working. So drove over, went to the Casbah Theater.
Wow.
Not knowing that we were going to be, oh my God, this is, Jake, I'm very, very sentimental, but
hey, man, me too, man.
I'm not lying to you, man. This is exactly what happened. We went to the first show, Louis Prima. He was just tearing it up. And what really got us was the first tune. I don't know whether it was Old Marie, Old Marie,
yeah,
or Gigolo,
sure.
Whatever. But he walks up, the cats are like right there, the curtain goes up. When he walks up, he just brings his right arm out and he brought it to the ground. Zoom. In other words, he didn't go 1, 2, I want, that kind of thing. He went zoom.
Oh my God.
They were so tight. So we're at the back of the lounge dreaming of one day we would work here, and Jake, we got to go there. You know this. Worked opposite Louis Prima. We got so tight with them, and we'd learned so much from them. And to this day, man, you'll read that Louis Prima had the best lounge show in Vegas ever.
Ever.
They would pack it in, and it was just such a great thing. And all the other cats that that we worked with. We got to work opposite Don Rickles, Slappy White. I mean, I could go on and on. The four freshmen, the Freddie Bell and the Bell Boys then. And
I was going to ask you about, there was one cat who, you might have been off the road at this point, but he definitely was coming through Vegas. I mean, I was wondering if you ever crossed paths with Elvis.
Listen to this.
Yeah.
Elvis Presley would go and with his entourage.
Oh my God!
Remember, we had the first show was at 3:30 in the morning. Second show 4:45. So all the acts and everything, they were all off. So we were the only game in town, as they say. Well, three times, and like I told you, I was the first one to get dressed. So the cats in the band would say, "Hey, Cleto, go down there and see who's in the audience, man," because you never knew who was there. So I would go 3 times, Jake. I opened the curtain. There's Elvis with his whole entourage.
Oh my God, this is insane.
Yeah. We never got to meet him, and now I could kick myself in the butt for never going to go see him. And in them days, we could get comps. Like we could go see a show free. All we have to do is let our manager know, or
Sure.
even the artist himself and all that. And but we never got to meet him, man. But three times he went to go see a show. Yeah, man. It was like, and that's when I think we could see I think he was going around with Priscilla then, because a lady with long black hair, so it had to be her.
He was in the audience at 4:45 in the morning, which is just so classic, dude.
Yeah. Well, but Jake, listen to this.
Yeah.
So 4:45 in the morning, after the second show, a lot of cats were hanging out still, and we would go to the Showboat Hotel, which is no longer there, away from the Strip, and have a 49-cent breakfast.
Oh my God, grits! Oh, come on!
Come
on!
You know what? I gotta tell you about this.
Do it.
Red Fox would be there.
Oh my God, dude! Red,
because he was. Oh man, Fox was there every morning because he was going around with one of our chick dancers, right?
Oh my God.
So I mean, we got to be tight, and he would walk in the lounge.
Dude,
with his Keno tickets. He would play a lot of Keno, and at that time, you could play Keno for 25 cents. So he had like about 10 tickets, and he was checking out the Keno board. He would look out to the casino and check out, see if he won or whatever, and stuff. So, I mean, for him to hang out with us, man, it was an honor, man. And we're just such a cool cat. And I've got another story that actually I did to him. I don't know whether it's cool to tell.
Oh, come on.
Oh, all right. Okay. So like I say, every morning Fox would go and, sit down with us and talk stuff and all that. And so one day I told the guys, you know what? When Fox comes in, tell him I'm upstairs in the dressing room feeding my pet squirrel. Right? I made some shit up. And so anyway, here comes Fox and with just like he with a cigarette, just like you see him in San Francisco.
Oh my God, dude! I mean, give me a break, yeah.
Oh man, and so I said, "Hey man, where Cleet at?" "Oh man, he's upstairs. He's upstairs feeding the pet squirrel." "Man, what you talking about, pet?" "Yeah, man, he's up. Man, you guys are bullshitting." No, he's feeding the squirrel. I'm telling you. So he went up. I know you guys are lying. I'm gonna go up check on him. So there was wooden floors, Jake, on all our dressing rooms, all of them, and the girls' dressing rooms were like way to the very end. We had them here at the beginning. So there was like a little. We used to call it like a pigeonhole where we used to put our shoes close to the wall.
Right.
It was about. I would say it was about maybe 4 feet up, or maybe not even that high. Well, what I did, Jake. And I had been doing this for years. That's another story. I pulled my pants down and I mooned him, and I could hear him coming. I could hear him coming. "Cleet, where you at?" "I'm over here, Fox." So as soon as he got close, I could hear his shoes hitting the wooden floor. I pulled my pants down, and he was smoking a cigarette, he looked to the left, and he said, "Well, it's nice to see a new face around here." And he kept walking, man.
Oh, a new face.
Oh man! I mean, he was so fast. He was just
dude. That man.
That's one of the stories. I mooned him, and I mooned Norm Crosby one time, right on stage left.
Oh my God!
And I mean, but I had been doing that, Jake, since we were traveling through Texas, and I would moon the truck drivers, and they say, "Cleto, wake up! There's a truck behind us." So I would pull my pants down on the thing.
Dude, I mean that.
Would go, oh, you know that.
In today's world, I mean, you don't know who's packing heat today. I mean, I wouldn't even.
Hey, man.
Back then, it was an innocent time, you know.
Hey, and guess what? When my son was growing up, he started doing it too. He would moon people on the Vegas Strip and all kinds of shit, I guess.
You know, there was it just popped into my head because I mean, I know you were influenced by them. You know, like the Carlos Santana, and you know, in his band he had the Escobedo brothers, and I wonder.
Yes.
And Pete is a good friend. I did a great interview with Pete, and obviously Coke passed away. But like, has Sheila E. shown up on the Jimmy Kimmel show? Have you been able to hang with her?
Man, she sat in with us one time.
Oh my God!
Jake, amongst others, you mentioned George Benson a while ago.
Yeah,
George Benson sat in with us too, but going back to Sheila, and we've always said, maybe my son touched on it, and when I met her dad and mom and a couple of the guys, his dad told me, he said, "You know what? We got to be related, man." And then we talked about San Antone. And he said that he had family there too, but if you know that they spell their name Escov, right?
Yeah,
and we spell it
well, and
B.
then there's a D instead of a B. You know, Escobedo.
Yeah. So isn't that weird?
No, I'm telling you, man. I it popped into my head because when you're talking, I mean, you have a similar kind of way of expressing yourself. I would not be surprised. I couldn't even believe. I thought it was a joke when I first connected with your son on Facebook. I'm like, Escobedo? There must be a couple of wrong letters in there, you know?
Yeah. And you know what, Jake? I believe my son told me that Sheila calls him cuz. You know, so she feels like we're related too.
Wow.
Man. And she looks like some of my cousins. You know, look like back home.
This is so beautiful,
weird.
man.
So I think we're related.
Oh my God, this is You got to do one of those DNA tests.
Yeah, we do for sure.
I mean, really, that's important because there's only like one or two letters difference, and you know, was when did you really like become, if ever, comfortable with that? You know, sort of clave beat, you know, that clave rhythm. I mean, that's different than the double shuffle. That's different than Americana music. It is wholly Latin. And I was wondering about your, you know, did you hit some of the clave stuff in Los Blues?
You know what? Very, very little. We didn't really do like too much clave or like salsa kind of rhythm.
Right. You weren't a salsa. You weren't in the salsa bag. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. No. Nah.
What about like guys like Mongo or like Armando Peraza? Do you ever see George Shearing ever come in?
Who's that? George Shearing?
George Shearing was one of the first cats to bring in. I mean, Dizzy had Chano Pozo. That was really that first conguero in jazz, and then George Shearing had Armando Peraza, who wound up with Santana. Obviously, like Mongo Santa Maria. Did you ever cross that?
Oh man, yeah.
Can you talk about like? I mean, even though you were playing like salsa. I don't want to say salsa adjacent, but you weren't in the Afro-Cuban bag. But did you respect? Did you respect that music? Did you understand? Did you understand it? Did your ear understand it?
Oh heck yeah! I mean, love it, man. That's a different kind of groove.
Well, you're darn right it is.
Man.
You're darn right.
You-
It's a different
and,
groove.
And my son Cleto got to work with Cecilia Noel and the Clams,
Oh yeah.
and they worked the baked potato a whole bunch, and she's still going. And they had a kick-ass band, man, salsa, everything. It was great, and we got to see them, and we loved it, man. Shit, yeah.
Cleto, I asked Pete about this in our interview. I'm going to send it to you, but I just wanted you to talk to the audience. This fabric of this country is made up of immigrants. My family coming from Eastern Europe and Hungary and places like that, and
Right.
obviously your family. And I just, to know the amount of suffering that's been going on at the border, to know what's going on with people of color in this country, what's about to take place in the upcoming administration, supposedly with
Yep.
a lot of deportation. I just wanted you to talk about what made this country great, and if you believe that immigrants have a rightful place in this country.
Jake.
Just your honest answer. I don't care what it is. Some people, there's a lot of cats. There's a lot of cats that come up from Mexico and they say, "Hey, follow the rules, man." But you go way back to Cesar Chavez and all the workers' rights and all the jobs that
sure.
white Americans don't want to. It's like, isn't there room for all of us, or am I just naive?
No, you know what? There's room for all of us, man. And you know what? We're all brothers and sisters, man. And that really gets to me. My wife and I, we talk about it, and we shouldn't be watching CNN all the time.
It's driving me nuts, dude. I'm telling you,
I'm
trying to turn. Man. I can't watch the news anymore, man.
No. That's what people tell us. You guys got to stop watching the news. And my wife, she gets more depressed than I do.
Oh, yeah.
Just looking at what's coming, and we just feel so bad for these people that want to, make come over and make another life, man, for themselves, and the way they're struggling in their countries. And it really gets to us, man. I never thought I would see that.
You know why it gets to me? And I don't know why this question's never asked, because, I would ask you or anybody personally, have you ever been directly negatively impacted by an illegal immigrant? And the answer is always no. It's just stories that I'm not saying they're not real. There are tragedies, but in general, the anger and the toxicity and it's just like when you really just ask people that have these feelings about other people that look different than them, have you ever been negatively impacted yourself? It's always no.
Yeah, it's no.
So it's like, what the heck is your problem?
Yeah, there you go. That's it. Oh man, I just and going back to racism, you touched a little bit.
Yeah.
We experienced that, Jake.
Talk about
with
that.
The Dell Kings.
Talk about that.
We had we would travel through Texas, and there was certain towns that we couldn't stop and eat after the gig because we had a brother with us, Carly Henderson. He was our singer. And he couldn't get off the car.
Right, that was Chico Hamilton. He had a white guitar player in his band, and when they went from L.A. to the East Coast, when they stopped in those towns, he'd send out the white guitar player to get the sandwiches.
That's it.
It's unbelievable.
That's exactly.
Yeah.
But we used to do that,
right?
And we were kind of, we were kind of scared to get down. So our guitar player would do most of the he'd go get a hamburger or wherever, and just to see the fear in Carly's eyes, and I'll never forget that. And I hope we don't go through that again. But it's sad. It's
really, and like I said, if it was like an epidemic of hostility and violence and and I realize, drugs are a billion dollar industry in this country. People like to get high, and yes, there are. So of course this stuff's going to come up. through the border. But I mean, the thing I love, I mean, I live 4 hours from the border. I've never been to Mexico before. But the thing is that the brothers and sisters that I've interacted with of Mexican descent, they always have this zest and appreciation and love of life. And it is not about materialism. It's about family, and it's about kids, and it's about music, and it's about food, and it's about, spirit and love and God. And I have a feeling, I mean, at the core, most white people are just really envious of that. They're just very jealous because they're not happy living in this material world.
Yep. I agree with you, man, all the way.
Wow.
Oh, God.
Yeah, man. Hey, I mean, Cleto, listen, man. We got I think we've done like an hour and a half now. So what I'm going to do is put this all together and get this up as one complete interview. And then I'm going to Boise with my kids to visit my brother for Christmas.
Great, man.
But when I get back, let's do another couple interviews, okay?
Hey, Jake, I'm all yours, man. Hey, I'm really enjoying this, and I feel like I've known you forever, man, and I'm ready for you, and I want to meet you, brother.
Yeah, man, Cleto. Everybody, I don't care if they're younger than me, musicians my age or older. They all say, man, my spirit transcends who I even am as a person, and they all feel that way. Where, you feel like you knew me before, and
there you go.
I feel at this point in my life to have connected with your family. I feel very blessed, man. So happy holidays to you,
right
man.
Back at you. And I told my son and my wife, I said, man, this cat is down to earth. Man. I've known him forever. Yeah, Jake. So
hey, man,
so,
Merry Christmas. I'll yeah.
No. I said, whenever you're ready, just let me know, and we'll hang.
We'll hang it again, man. And listen, be safe, be cool. Don't watch too much news. All right.
All right, buddy. Hey, man, love you, and Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and we'll be talking.
Absolutely, Cleto. Much love, brother.
Hey, brother, love you, man.
All
Take
right,
care.
be cool, man.
Okay, brother, you too.
Peace.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.